Good morning! You wake up from a 70-year nap in a block of ice. Your friends are dead, your hot girlfriend now a grandma, and America's Wi-Fi is somehow still trash. You're supposed to be a superhero, but instead you're a glorified national mascot with trauma in red, white, and blue suit. Congrats! You're Captain America. You got bullied by science, ghosted by time, and now you're stuck in a world where TikTok booty twerking get more engagement than your entire war record. Oh, and you gotta fight aliens, killer robots, and your brainwashed best friend while pretending you enjoy kale smoothies. Being Steve Rogers sounds noble, but it's actually just 90% guilt, 10% punching things, and 0 chill. But how did all this tragedy begin? It's 1918. You spawn in Brooklyn built like expired spaghetti. Asthma, heart problems, allergies. If fragile was a person, it's you. You get bullied by kids, dust, and the breeze. Bucky? Your bestie? Dude's tall, hot, confident. Basically a walking Old Spice ad. And you look like you've never won a fight against your own bed sheets. You try to join the army like 5 times. Every time it's a hard pass. Even Uncle Sam's like, bro, you'll die in basic training. But somehow, your scrawny self catches the eye of Dr. Erskine, the one scientist who's like, let's inject this noodle with super juice and pray. Boom. You go from Steve can't lift a backpack Rogers to Steve can bench press motorcycle Rogers. Instant abs. Mega glow up. Peggy's staring at your muscles and getting orgasm. Then, plot twist, Erskine gets shot 5 minutes after you get hot. You don't even get to vibe with your new muscles. Congrats. You're now hot, jacked, and legally government property. And they've got big plans for their brand new blonde action figure. They don't send you to war. Nope. They give you a shiny shield and a chorus line. You're dancing around in tights selling war bonds while actual soldiers are eating dirt, dodging bullets, and losing limbs. And you're shaking hands, signing posters, and doing press tours with a smile so forced it might count as a war crime. You're not a soldier. You're America's walking thirst trap. Marvel's original look but don't touch guy. Kids love you, the army loves your abs, and deep down you hate everything. Eventually you snap. You're like, I didn't get super jacked for this, and yeet yourself into the real war. Cue the superhero montage. Dramatic shield throws, slow-mo explosions, Bucky nearly dying for the 19th time. You allegedly punch Hitler, like multiple times. You lead the Howling Commandos like you're not just some theater kid who escaped rehearsal. And then you face the final boss of fascist nonsense. Red Skull. He starts as a top Nazi, but decides even Hitler's not hardcore enough. So he creates Hydra, aka Nazi Deluxe with lasers. Dude looks like a burnt-hot Cheeto with a space cube addiction and a god complex. He's got a flying fortress, a magic rock, and 0 chill. So Red Skull's out here flying around in his doomsday Uber with laser cannons and a magic space cube. You hop on like, time to end this, and decide the only way to stop him is to crash the whole damn plane. That's right. You grab the wheel, say goodbye to Peggy mid-orgasm, and nosedive straight into the Arctic like the world's saddest Uber Eats delivery. You die, kinda. Except instead of RIP, you get frozen like an ice popsicle. Full-on cryo-sleep. Like some patriotic frozen chicken nugget. The world thinks you're dead, but you're just chilling in an ice block. Also, Bucky? Man fell off a train mid-mission. Straight into a frozen ravine. Everyone thinks he's gone, but plot twist. Hydra scoops him up, yanks his arm off like it's a Lego piece, and turns him into a metal-armed sleep paralysis demon. But you won't find that out for until you wake up from ice sleep. Suspense.exe. Fast forward 70 years. They defrost you like leftover lasagna, and boom, the future sucks. Everyone you love, gone. Music, mid. People are talking to their watches, and there's a literal robot who can make toast, do your taxes, and still beat you at chess. And Peggy? Yeah, she's 90. Still a baddie, but now she's a grandma with TikTok account. Time said, get wrecked, soldier. Welcome to the 21st century, where your trauma has a sequel and your best friend Bucky is probably a demonic cyborg assassin. You wake up 70 years later, and instead of therapy, they hand you a job at Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division, aka the SHIELD. Because, yeah, nothing says mental recovery like joining a secret government agency run by a bald guy named Nick Fury with an eye patch and trust issues. You try to adjust. But modern life is weird, and you're still stuck in the past. Then boom. Aliens invade New York, and next thing you know, you're teaming up with a billionaire in a tin can, a rage green monster, a Norse god with flying hammer, and 2 assassins with 0 boundaries. Just like that, you help form the Avengers, aka Earth's mightiest dysfunctional family. At first, you're vibing, kind of, but then, plot twist, turns out S.H.I.E.L.D. is low-key full of sleeper Hydra. Again. Like, oh god, y'all didn't learn the first time? Now you're stuck in an espionage fever dream. You get betrayed, framed, hunted, and every mission feels like a deleted mission, impossible scene. And the cherry on top? Your bestie Bucky, the guy you literally cried over, comes back as a brainwashed, metal-armed emo assassin. Hydra really said, let's turn your trauma into a weapon. Now you're chasing him through rooftops like a Marvel soap opera, trying to fix him like he's a glitchy iPhone. Bro, it's me, Steve. Remember me is basically your catchphrase now? Also, modern America? An actual mess. Surveillance state? That's on your to-do list. Global threats? Also you.
Oh no.
Tony builds a murderbot Ultron, who airdrops an entire Sokovia city. Guess who's cleaning that up? Again. You didn't sign up for this sequel, but congrats. You're now the lead in a conspiracy thriller with friendship trauma and no days off. So after the Avengers accidentally blow up like half a city, the government drops the Sokovia Accords. A legal way of saying no more saving the world without asking first. You're like, nah fam. And just like that, full-on civil war. Tony's all, let's play by the rules, and you're like, my bestie killed some people, but he's sad about it. So I pick him. So what happens? You throw hands with your entire team, punch a literal child in a spider suit, and turn an airport into WWE Avengers Edition. You fight Black Widow, get bodied by a giant Ant-Man, and try not to hurt your friends while simultaneously throwing them into jet bridges. The Sokovia Accords? Nobody's even reading them by this point. End result? Tony finds out Bucky banged his parents. He loses it, and y'all scrap in a frozen bunker like it's Family Feud deathmatch. You defend your murdery best friend, break your billionaire friend's heart, and just when it can't get messier, you drop your shield and walk off like a true drama queen. No speech? No sorry. Just ghosted. Congrats! You're now officially a fugitive. No job. No squad. Just abs, trauma, and Bucky's emotional support arm for the night. And then comes Mr. Thanos. Big purple dude with a chin like a raisin and the ego of Donald Trump. He's collecting Infinity Stones like they're limited edition Funko Pops. And his goal? Snap away half the universe because balance or whatever? So he deletes half the universe like he's cleaning out his camera roll. You try to stop him. Fail. Boom. Half your friends turn into dust particles. Gone. Like bad Wi-Fi during a Zoom call. You spend the next 5 years depressed, chopping wood, going to group therapy, and pretending you're not dead inside. The Avengers are broken, TikTok exists somehow, and nothing makes sense. Then plot twist again. Leftover Avenger returns to avenge. With time travel. You run it back through every traumatic timeline like it's a Marvel-themed escape room. You fight your past self and praised your own butt. Awkward. Sneak one last look at Peggy. Ouch. And collect Infinity Stones like you're playing Cosmic Pokemon Go. Final battle drops. Chaos, lasers, portals, screaming. Everyone shows up. And you? You pick up Thor's hammer, flex on every villain, and remind the world why you're the main character. Because you are worthy. Then, just when people expect you to keep going, you bounce. You time hop out of the MCU and marry Peggy in an alternate reality, where your biggest problem is mowing the lawn and not saving the multiverse. No aliens, no robots, just vibes. You hand your shield to Sam Wilson like you're unsubscribing from the Avengers group chat. No big speech. No Avengers Zoom farewell. Just one old man in a park going, "Here, kid, you deal with the trauma now." And poof, you vanish into retirement, while Sam's standing there holding the symbol of America like it's a live grenade. Now you're a senior citizen who probably argues with smart fridges and tells kids, "Back in my day, I punched Hitler." And Sam? Sam doesn't just become Captain America. He has to earn it. He turns down the shield, watches the government give it to some knockoff named John Anger Issues Walker, and then gets dragged into a global mess involving super serum extremists, political chaos, and moral gray zones so murky even you'd need a compass. He doesn't just throw punches, he drops TED Talks mid-battle and still wins. You fought Red Skull's fists. Sam fought Red Skull's YouTube comments section. And now, he's even throwing hands with Red Hulk, your old boss turned gamma-powered political nightmare. No serum, just wings, morals, and the receipts. Meanwhile, you're somewhere in the 1950s dancing with Peggy in a stolen timeline, pretending the multiverse doesn't exist. Sam's out here patching up global politics with duct tape and raw empathy, while balancing wing repairs and existential crises. So, yeah, being born as Steve Rogers sounds noble, but in reality, it's just war, betrayal, and surprise ice baths. You're the moral compass of the Avengers, sure, but also the guy who can't catch a break, much less a vacation. You were the first Avenger, the last to rest, and the official blueprint for a superhero burnout. Catch us next time when we unpack why it sucks to be born as Hulk, when therapy isn't an option, so you just smash.